Hi, I'm Mike Ebert with Austin Landmark Property Services. Today we're going to have some Austin property management education. We're going to talk about handling the eviction process in Texas. Good stuff, right? Might seem kind of negative, might even seem depressing, but as landlords we need to think about evictions and we need to know how to handle them, or else you can find yourself at a big loss. So what I want to talk about is what not to do. I want to talk about the process, and I want to talk about some of the costs associated with evictions here. So what you really need to watch out for is what not to do, right? So you don't want to just go change the locks because your tenant's late. You don't want to shut the power off. You don't want to disable a functioning part of the property. You don't want to take the front door off, right? You can't do that. You'll get in more trouble than it's worth doing these things, and you're violating the law if you're not following these rules. So don't do anything rash. You need to know your local laws. You need to know your state laws when you're handling this. So really, let's talk about the process. Obviously, the tenant's late. In most cases, that's why you're filing an eviction. You can file an eviction for other breaches of the lease as well, but the most common is non-payment of rent. So the first step is to post the proper notices. These have to be done at the property in specific locations. And for us at Austin Landmark, we use a 24-hour notice to vacate. This is a strongly worded letter that says you have not paid rent, you are delinquent, and you have 24 hours to vacate this property before we file an eviction. You then wait 24 hours at least, and you can then go file the eviction. It's important that you get the right precinct because there's different precincts around the counties, and if you file in the wrong precinct, they're going to kick it back and delay the process longer, which means more time, more money lost, more pain. So get the right precinct. Typically the eviction cost for the hearing is $150 thereabouts per person. So if you have multiple applicants, it's going to cost you more money. In Texas, your property manager can represent you in court for your eviction, only for non-payment of rent. So if you're evicting your tenant for having too many parties or having too many dogs or something like that, your property manager cannot do that for you. You have to represent yourself, or you have to hire an attorney on that. So we're talking about those things. Then you have to get ready for court. It's pretty simple, but typically you need to have copies, one copy for the tenant, one copy for the court, and one copy for yourself of everything. So we're talking about your lease, the tenant ledger, and any other documents that are important. For example, the 24-hour notice. So if the tenant says they never posted a 24-hour notice, you need to be able to prove that you did post that notice. So pictures are good for this. During that hearing, it's usually cut and dry because you basically just prove that the tenant has not paid rent. We almost always win our eviction cases because it's cut and dry, and we're then awarded the property back. Typically the tenant has about 5 days to move out of the property. If they have not done so, you then notify the court and you request what is called a writ of possession. And that's where the rubber really meets the road with an eviction. When you're authorized a writ of possession, the court assigns a sheriff's deputy to meet you at the property on a specified date to peacefully oversee the removal of the tenant's property. The deputy, all their job is to stand there and keep the peace. And that's where your costs as a landlord really increase with an eviction, is when we have to proceed with a writ of possession, because that's when we physically remove the tenant's things out of the house, put them at the street for 24 hours, come back the next day and take everything away. And so, those are really where your costs are. If you have to hire an attorney, you could be looking at the equivalent of an average year of property management fees. That's huge if you have to hire an attorney to do an eviction for you. Also, if you have to pay $400, $500, $600 or plus to have all the tenant's things removed, the costs are now just skyrocketing. So you want to make sure that your tenants are being properly screened, that your property manager is doing a great job doing that, and you want to talk with your property manager about any perks that they're giving you. Are they guaranteeing your tenants like we do? Are they going to represent you in court at no additional cost like we do? Are they going to pay your court fees for filing that eviction like we do? You want to ask those good questions so that you can be prepared moving forward in the event that you have an eviction. I hope you found this useful. Thank you.